Hi, everybody. We're back for another video of Bite Size Health with Sarah. And we had such a great response to the last video. So Sarah has lots of great ideas for the upcoming year. The one that we're doing today is going to be on inflammation and the top 4 causes of it. So she'll cover that with us. But for just a minute, I want to remind everybody that these are just educational videos only. And if you want to adapt anything, you should check with your healthcare professional, because even though Sarah is a certified health coach, she's probably not your certified health coach. So it's always good to check before you start something. So Sarah, do you want to take us away on inflammation and the top 4 causes of it?
Yes, of course. How are you, Linda?
I'm doing well. I can't wait to find out about the inflammation and probably what I could change and improve. So
Let's talk about inflammation. But before we start talking about inflammation, I think we need to define what inflammation is. So inflammation is body's innate healing response to an irritant or an injury. It's got 4 components to it, which is swelling, heat, pain, and redness. Like to put it in, for example, if you have a sore throat, it's red and it's painful and there is a little bit of swelling. So what you do, you just don't talk as much for a couple of days, drink soothing liquids, and the inflammation will go down on its own because your body knows what to do. It's got a healing response and it knows what to do, and it takes the inflammation down. Same thing with if you have a sprained ankle, like you're not going to run on a sprained ankle. You give it a week or 2 till the swelling goes down, and eventually you start slowly. You start by walking and then you go to running. So your body knows what it's doing. Your body tries to, it has this innate healing response, and it knows what to do. So that is acute inflammation. That's not the kind of inflammation we're going to cover today. The kind of inflammation we're covering today is chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is silent. So you don't know, you can't see the swelling.
So you don't have those same 4 components.
You
always.
don't know,
Okay.
You don't have those components.
Okay.
It's very gradual. It's silent. It can take weeks to months to years to develop. But if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't, if it's not taken care of, it can lead into chronic disorders such as diabetes, Alzheimer's, autoimmunity, cancer, even aging. So
well, that I don't like the sound of. So are there any indications at all that you may have chronic inflammation?
Well, when you don't feel good and you look for the root cause is usually inflammation.
Okay.
And as you get older, as you age, your system is more prone to inflammation. And the scientists have actually coined a term called inflammaging. Inflammation increases as you age.
See, I would actually look so much better if I didn't have inflammation.
Yeah, you need to go on an anti-inflammatory diet. We all do. So that's called inflammaging. Now, there are a lot of causes for inflammation, but today, for the sake of time, we're only going to cover the top 4. The first one is intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So in our gut, there is an extensive intestinal lining that when everything works properly, it forms a barrier and it lets whatever that needs to get out. However, if there is any issues, that barrier won't be as tight and it's going to have gaps and junctions. And when that happens, undigested food particles, proteins, toxin can get into your bloodstream, and it can create a systemic inflammation.
Okay.
And wherever that inflammation lands, and there's a tissue breakdown, you can see the symptoms. Like if it's in your brain, you can see brain fog. So it gets more systemic. Now, as we've talked before, 70% of our immune system is in our gut. So in essence, our gut is the first line of defense. So we have to make sure we have healthy guts. Now, this is not a new concept. Hippocrates talked about it 2,000 years ago. Disease and health begin in the gut. You've heard that, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is not a new concept. We're just paying more attention to it. Ayurvedic medicine, ancient Indian medicine, they've been using the gut and as the basis of healing. Same thing with Chinese medicine. So we're just catching up with the wisdom of the past. So how do you get a leaky gut? It's when your microbiome, your gut bacteria, are not in balance. So if you've got more harmful bacteria than the beneficial bacteria, when you have dysbiosis in your system, that can lead into inflammation.
So is it almost like that bad bacteria can kind of eat away at the intestine and create that, or is it?
Well, it depends on the bacteria that can so it depends on that, but also it depends, like if you have bad bacteria, like the postbiotics, what they produce, which is, so that could, if you don't have if you have a lot of LPS, which is lipopolysaccharides, then that can lead into leaky gut, but that's another topic for another time. So you just have to make sure that your gut stays in balance, that the microbiome stays in balance, and that's the top cause of inflammation. The second cause is unbalanced blood sugar. So when your blood sugar is out of balance, and that can lead to insulin resistance. Now, when you get insulin resistance, that can cause into creation of these fat cells called adipocyte cells, and then they can secrete cytokines that can lead into metabolic disorders. So what did I just say? Like, it just sounds a lot of, so in plain English,
one thing's leading to another.
exactly. In plain English, if you have belly fat, it can lead into metabolic disorder. It can lead into hypertension, and all other things. So it's something really interesting. So if you have high cholesterol and low inflammation, the chances of heart disease, developing heart disease is very low. However, if you have high cholesterol and high inflammation, the chances of having heart disease goes up. So inflammation it's really important to keep your inflammation down.
Okay.
Now, the next thing is that affects inflammation is sleep. So
that's unfortunate.
So how that mechanism works is when you sleep, your blood pressure drops and your vessel kind of relaxes. But if you don't get enough sleep, if you have restricted sleep, if you don't get enough deep sleep, then your blood pressure doesn't drop. And then the pro-inflammatory cytokines, it activates your inflammation response. And also during like your deep sleep, how we have the lymphatic system in our body?
Yeah.
There is a lymphatic system in our brain called the glymphatic system. So when you go through your deep sleep, the glymphatic system cleans up the brain. So it's like the house cleaning system of the brain.
Okay.
And that happens during the deep sleep. So that's another. So if you're not getting a deep sleep, like the next morning, you've got foggy brain, you've got a lot of brain fog. So, but if that happens chronically, it can lead into something.
Now, doesn't the sleep also help the rest of your body to heal a lot too?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
It kind of focuses on cleaning up throughout the body,
Exactly. It's mostly your brain, but then
Okay.
your brain can signal the rest of your body.
Okay. It sounds
to
like
do-
eating late at night is not necessarily good because then your body's more focused on digestion than on healing.
Exactly. Your
Okay.
body goes exactly when you have to allow for your food to get digested before falling asleep. So your body will not focus on digestion and it can focus on cleaning up. That's a really good point. Now, the fourth cause of inflammation is stress, which we're also familiar
Who doesn't
with.
have
Who
stress?
doesn't have stress? And that's probably one of the toughest one to deal with. And you just have to be very, very proactive. And how that system works is when you're stressed, your cortisol level goes up. And when your cortisol level goes up, it causes your intestinal lining to become more lax, so then you get leaky gut. So high stress, high cortisol level can lead into leaky gut as well. Now, our ancestors, of course, dealt with stress. Like when they would be chased by a tiger, they would go into this high stress, fight or flight, and their inflammation, their pro-inflammatory system would be activated. However, that would only take like 10, 15 minutes, and they would get to a safe place and everything would go back to normal. But in today's society, from the minute we open our eyes, we have to deal with stress. Like if you're looking at your phone, if you're watching the news, if you listen to the radio, it's always like the stress starts from the minute you open your eyes till you go back to sleep. So you have to find ways to mitigate that, because otherwise you would be in a pro-inflammatory condition the whole day. So that's one of the toughest one. So those are some of the causes of inflammation, some of the top causes. And as you can see, mostly everything goes back to the gut and how your gut is dealing and how it's healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though we may end up in like a high stress job and we don't have a lot of choice about some of the stress, it's finding ways to say, if I have a little downtime, what am I going to do with that that's less stressful to help reduce the stress that we've already been dealing with so that it doesn't stay high all the time?
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes of breathing techniques to put your system back into the parasympathetic. So your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight when everything's go, go, go. Your parasympathetic system is when everything is a little calmer. So you just want to like 5 minutes of breathing would do that. 10 minutes of walking outside would do that. So you just have to actively look for ways to combat your stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know for me, a lot of times, like if I'm dealing with stress at work, that's what will wake me up in the middle of the night because I'm constantly trying to solve that problem. And one of the things that Richard, my partner, had recommended to me was, why don't you get done as much as you can in the course of the day? Because a lot of times it's things that I didn't get to, that I meant to get to. And that even if I can shave a couple of those things off my list before I end my workday, and then try to come to a specific end to my workday.
Yeah.
And do something that's fun and relaxing.
Yeah.
That helps.
Absolutely, because you try to put your system in a parasympathetic, like something that I tell my clients that I guide them towards doing this practice is just writing. And I think we've talked about that too,
Yeah.
like putting your thoughts down, writing a journal before you fall asleep. So everything is out of your brain and into your notebook. So that makes it, because before, like when you say in the middle of the night, I wake up, it affects both your sleep and your stress level.
It really does.
It
So I guess
does too.
even making a list would
Exactly.
be helpful.
Yes.
Okay.
So making a list of what you have to deal with, anything
Mhm.
that you can do to put your system in a parasympathetic state would
Okay.
help. Yeah.
Okay. And I know you want to talk about like an anti-inflammatory diet.
Yes.
And I know for Richard and me, I keep going through series of what kind of diet is best for me to be on. Do I want to be totally plant-based? Do I want to be paleo? Do I want to be keto? Do I want to be some combination? So with Lent coming up, this was a couple weeks ago, Lent was coming up, and we decided that maybe for those 40 days, we would try doing just one thing that was common to any choice that I was going to make. What's the one thing that's common? And a lot of it was getting rid of the ultra processed and the ultra processed food, the additives and things like that. So that was like a starting place.
Yes.
And so we've been working on that. And one of the things I know, as I pay attention to the things, I had switched from regular milk to almond milk.
Yeah.
And then I realized in the almond milk I was using, there were these additives. So I thought, well, I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to go get the one that doesn't have any additives in it. And the next morning I made my coffee. I put the almond milk in the cup. I realized I had to shake it up though, because it could kind of separate it. I poured my coffee in. I'm going, well, that doesn't look so good because it had all separated and it was just not very attractive. Now, did it still taste fine? Yeah. So, so now I'm looking at, so here's another decision. Do I want to go back to maybe a different kind of regular milk, whether it be sheep, dairy, whatever, or go back to the additive, or just drink it the way it is? So they're
Yes.
the things that I'm discovering as I reduce the additives in my
And we
diet.
definitely should talk about that after this video, because I have some great ideas for you to try with the almond milk. But those choices are also unique, and we have to keep in mind that we're all bio individuals. So something that works for you may not work for me, or vice versa. So it's always really good to work with somebody that would could guide you in that way, like there are so many choices. We're all exposed to so many choices daily.
Yeah.
And even if you're in the health and wellness forum, there is, even in this space that I'm in, there are so many conflicting advice. Like one day dairy is good, the other day dairy is bad. One day eggs is good, the other day eggs is bad, or ultra processed.
Yes.
So, but all the different dietary guidelines that I agree with, they all have some things in common. And that's what you said, like they all are against ultra processed food. And that's what you did.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I'm so glad that you're making all those choices.
Well, working with you has really helped us commit more. And it's just really interesting because you make that one choice as a starting point, and then it kind of sends these threads out into the rest of your decision making. And as you're coming into, like, yes, for me, the almond milk or salads. Now, Richard's fine without ever having anything on his salads, but I'm still in the dressing world. So it's like you get out the bottle of dressing and it's like, oh man, there are additives in here. So
and what you said with when Richard had gone to buy cheese and the yellow, and you said it had dye in it, and that it's like,
and he didn't even think about it when he
Yeah.
did it, because it's like, oh geez, this is dairy, this is good.
So it's very, very important to pay attention to all those little things. And you're absolutely right. One good decision will lead in to another one. And
Yeah.
I think that's going to bring us up to our actionable steps. So what can you guys do today to help yourself? So my first tip is to definitely have a goal. So some of you are in great health and your goal may be to run a marathon today, but somebody's goal may be just to get out of bed without pain-free. Somebody could be like to reduce bloating. Somebody could be reflux. So just have a goal, one goal, work on that. And then that, as you said, that one would lead into other habits. But like as far as inflammation is concerned, the first thing that I would say, go on an anti-inflammatory diet. That's the most important thing. Everything starts in the gut. So you just want to make sure that your gut is in good shape. So what does that mean? Getting rid of seed oils, sticking with better oils like coconut oil or olive oil or avocado oil, have more fruits and vegetables, cut back on ultra processed food. The second tip is find ways to mitigate your stress. You can exposing yourself to more sun. That's something that people don't think about, but that has such healing effects. Meditation, and meditation should not, it doesn't mean that just sitting somewhere closing your eyes. If you go to church or mosque or synagogue or temple or anywhere that you go and pray, if it gives you that meditative state, do that. And then the third thing is like sleep. How do you set your sleep? Again, like what you said, if you can put yourself in a parasympathetic state before you go to bed, and the ability for you to go to bed and have a good night's sleep actually start first thing in the morning. So just make sure to expose your eyes to light, to outside light. And as the weather is getting nicer, it's easier to have just a cup of water, your cup of tea or coffee, outside on the porch. All it takes is 5 minutes to 10 minutes of exposure to light. So those are some of the tips that can help you. And if you guys need any more help, you can contact me on my website at healthwithsara.com. And I look forward to the next session.
We'll see you next time. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.